Welcome to the Final Score Network and the Final Score Podcast, presented by Team Anders Realtors. I'm Andy. He's former NCAA student athlete and co-host
Ryan Gam, two-hand monster flush off the inbound. Ryan Gam slam jam. Oh boy.
Find the TFS pod and our playlists wherever you stream your podcast or music. Follow us on X at TheFinalScore35. Oh, and one more note before we get started.
I'd like to apologize to anyone I've not offended yet. Please be patient. I'll get to you shortly.
Welcome back to another episode of the TFS Pod 232. Hope everyone had a great 4th of July, a good holiday weekend, enjoyed some time with family, stayed cool. It was a hot one here in Michigan. Ate good food. Hopefully didn't blow any fingers off, a la Jason Pierre-Paul. Watched some baseball, golf, whatever was on TV. Now we're one step closer to football season. Quarterback comes out tonight, the night of our recording, 7-8. So we'll be tuned into that probably here soon. Looking forward to watching that. Lions playing the Hall of Fame game on the 31st, so that's 23 days out. And NFL preseason starts fully the next week. College football report to camp soon. So lots and lots going on in the wide world of sports. We will take the podium, and I want to talk about the Detroit Tigers. We've talked about them a little bit. We're starting to talk about them more because, well, folks, newsflash, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, best record in baseball by 2 games right now, and currently winning the game they're playing right now on the top of the 9th against the Rays. And it just warms my heart to see the Tigers be good because it's been so freaking long. I mean, I remember I was in early high school. They were really good. They were fun. They had that game with the Red Sox that just ended tragically in the ALCS, and then kind of after that it was a little bit of a downfall, and then just hardly paid attention to him, hardly knew he was on the roster. They were awful. Couple of the worst records in baseball history in the Gardenhire regime. And A.J. Hinch has turned this club around. They've got good young players. Skubal's obviously one of the best players in the league, but other than that, they don't have a ton of studs or Hall of Fame guys, air quotations. They just get it done. They're a gritty group. They personify Detroit, and they're just a bunch of guys that fit really, really well together. And they have great managing, great general managing, a great farm system, great scouting, and great development. So I'm excited to see what the Tigers do. I hope that this ends in a ALCS World Series run. Baseball is a really hard sport to predict that just because of bounces and injuries and luck here and there. The way the wind blows, the weather in general. But looking forward to seeing what they can do. It just makes me happy. Hopefully they can keep it up. We paid attention to them more this year than we probably have in the last 10 combined. So looking forward to. It's been good to have that this summer because the summer's dog days. There's not a ton going on except for golf on the weekends, obviously. But yeah, I'm super fired up for our Tigers.
Yeah, since they captured our hearts and minds last year on that
Just one again,
incredible run. They've been fun to watch, and I've been listening to them on the radio, old school wise, with Dan Dickerson, just like I used to with Ernie Harwell growing up. So that is cool. All right, so I've been talking in the last few pods about just different ways to get the fans first. Shortening games, getting rid of the nonsense of all these expensive apps, all the myriad ways that you have to tap in to be able to watch your team. You're paying 30, 40, 50 bucks extra out of pocket to be able to watch what you want. The in-game experience, Michigan State selling their soul under their old academic or athletic department regime to get put a home game in Detroit for bucks and for the Big Ten. So I thought about this today because I was thinking about it's harder in the summer to go to the podium, and I'm tired of talking about the WNBA because I can't stand the WNBA anyway, so that's worthless. Tired of talking about things like LeBron and things like that just because they're all
took up golfing,
whatever. He did?
Yeah.
Oh, great. That's all we need is more of him on the golf course. So I started to rack my brain and think about what else can we think about to make it more of a fans game again, from the TV experience to the in-stadium experience. And I got to thinking, I've taken a few surveys over the years from Michigan State on ways to improve Spartan Stadium. Spartan Stadium's been around for 100 years. It's old and it's showing its age. And the last major renovation was when they built a nice brick facade with the new press box and stuff 20 years ago. I got a new plan. Getting new scoreboards this year, great. I don't suggest we do anything with the north and the south end zones. The scoreboards take up those parts. I love what Northwestern is doing with their new football stadium. Now, granted, their alumni base is way smaller than Michigan State. They only have about 9,000 students versus 48 to 50,000 students. So some of it is not apples to apples, I get. But what I love is that smaller, more intimate experience for the fans. And that's what I want to see Spartan Stadium do. I am recommending, so Mr. Athletic Director Jay, pay attention to this as an idea. Find a good architect and don't wipe out the upper decks, but repurpose the upper decks completely for suites only. No more seats. And I say that as a 20-some year season ticket holder in the upper deck, and I love my seats in the fourth row. But this is my reasoning. The upper deck is probably about, I tried to chat GPT and figure it out, and nobody could give me a great answer. It's about probably 25 to 30,000 more seats because it's not a full bowl and whatever. Half the time later in the year, you're not filling the top. I mean, they've relegated to putting the band way up in the top corner. We look at it from our seats, and the east upper deck is often empty. Like when it's cold and wet and snowy and whatever, they close it. So wipe that out. Put luxury suites in, maximize that area, repurpose it with the sole purpose of luxury suites. Wipe out all of the opposing tickets minus, we'll say, 2,500. Cap it at 2,500 that a visiting team gets. Of course, they can get others on StubHub and whatever else. Ticket Geek, Seat Geek, all those things. But think about the intimacy of that lower bowl completely full. And to gain some of those seats back, 300 in fact, or 300 plus, because the band carries a little bit more than marches, put the band back on the field in front of the student section. When we have opposing bands in, put them in the opposing corner, just like they used to. Use the field old school wise. I think of the Notre Dame band during Little Giants and whatever, and Charlie Gant basically causing a bench celebration right in their face. So you gain back those seats, shrink the student section a little bit because half of them don't stay beyond half the game anyway. Make it a demand to go, and you will have plenty of ability, have some general admission, but make the lower bowl mostly season tickets. So the high rollers who are buying the club seats in front, whatever, talk them into taking these new suites up top. Reconfigure all of that space. You're still going to probably get, 55,000 people in there. And you know what? That's perfect because it would be loud. It would be intimate. The bands would be on the field old school wise like it should be. The stadium experience for the fans would be better. The unsightly upper decks would be covered with these nice new suites, which would also hold the sound in even more. I'm no architect, but I'm telling you, if they could build all those suites on top of the big house, which sits on top of a swamp and not completely sink that thing into the ground, you can find a way with Spartan Stadium, use your ingenuity, use your money, get the donors to buy into those spots, give the fans the seat experience. Imagine how great that Saturday experience would be.
Yeah. It already is great. It would be
even better
great again.
Because the upper decks are only humming for the Michigan game, or if there's another big game, if Michigan State's good and we're playing Oregon, or Michigan State's good and we're playing Ohio State, or Michigan State's good and we're playing Penn State. Part of the argument is nobody sticks around and those upper decks are empty, save a few people for the Thanksgiving Day game. Imagine you only have 52 to 55,000 seats to fill. It's that much easier. The demand to sell out your games would be about, raise the ticket prices by $5 a person. I don't care, whatever. You're going to make your revenue back in the suites. I'm just saying, think about it, because that could create such a better experience, a la what's going on at Northwestern, which is gorgeous and is all about the fans and is smaller. Bigger is not better. Michigan will tell you bigger is better. Tennessee will. Penn State will. Ohio State will. Texas will. Alabama will. Whatever. Let them have their big stadiums. Michigan State is the top 25 in attendance anyway, but shrink it down smaller. Shrink it down smaller. I think it would be a much better experience for the fans. I think you would have people clamoring to be there. And by the way, my last thing is offer up ways for fans to connect more in their tailgates to be able to put up TVs and watch games.
Yeah.
Because then you still get the people that tailgating. A lot of people just like to go tailgate. And then you get the fans like us who truly like to go watch the game and see the marching band and all that in the stadium. That's my solution. Michigan State, you can hire me and use whatever funds you need to find an architect to make sure that this works and doesn't collapse the stadium. But I'm telling you,
right.
It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's right. I like that. Let's make Spartan Stadium great again, huh? Yeah. All right.
I like it.
We head to Out of Bounds this week. Didn't really have a ton of bad stuff, but we're going to do something we've touched on ever since we started this podcast in December of 2020, and that's the NCAA tournament expansion. There's been talks about it for years, right? And this year there really is, trying to get to 72. I think there's a vote supposed to be happening either this week or next week about it. They're meeting about it. Please, NCAA, you do nothing good. You're useless. Don't make yourself even worse by changing the greatest thing on earth. It's too many teams are in there at 68. It should be 64. But good Lord, if you move this thing to 72, then it's going to go to 78, then it's going to go to 84, and it's going to keep going, and then everyone's going to be involved like Coach K wanted back during COVID. No, don't touch it, you bastards. Don't. I plead. Please.
The more you water it down, the more you make the regular season meaningless.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to do something, get rid of the AQs and the conference championships and make the regular season truly matter.
Right.
That's what you should do.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. All right.
Here's a bonus Out of Bounds is the absolute devil worshippers who are wishing ill on the young people and others too, but especially the young girls that died at the camp in the flash floods in Texas. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers
to those, to all those victims, and anybody who's saying they deserved it or making it a race issue or making it a Trump issue. Have fun in the underworld when you meet your maker, because you have no place in heaven. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I mean, just heinous. Thoughts and prayers to all those with the bad weather everywhere, really, in the United States in the last few weeks. But yeah, let's get to Par 3. And Shot 1 is presented by North Sports Group. NSG is a boutique agency of experts with 30-plus years experience in sports sponsorship and much more. Learn more about them today at northsportsgroup.com. The wide world of golf, we're back. The John Deere Classic, one of the longest active sponsors of a single event on the PGA Tour. Another playoff this week. Brian Campbell, second win of the year. I think we heard this on the radio yesterday. He has 2 top 30s on the year. Both of them wins. The rest,
otherwise, he's basically missing cuts.
He's a miscut merchant. And he has 2 wins. That's pretty awesome. A guy that's grinded. He went to Illinois, so it's cool to win again in the state that he played college. Won over Emiliano Grillo. Kevin Roy up there. David Lipsky had a putt. Lipsky lips out on 18 to miss out on being in the playoff.
Northwestern guy, so another
Lucas
guy.
Glover, nice week. Kuchar, he helped himself out in the FedEx Cup, 135 to 112.
Homa had a chance.
Homa had a good chance. He kind of just unraveled a little bit down the stretch. Didn't play fantastically on Sunday. He had the lead at one point. Denny McCarthy, that's who I picked. He had a solid week, T11.
The amateur,
Jackson
from Auburn.
Coyman, that's a name to remember for the future. T11. He's playing this week in the ISCO Championship in Kentucky. If you haven't seen that course, by the way, it looks pretty cool. It's a different club than they played at the last few years. Nick Dunlap, he's been putrid all season, and he actually got a T11 in this event. Had a nice weekend.
He's been fighting his swing like me lately.
Yeah. Siwoo Kim, decent week. Ricky, he did okay. That was his first time there in a while. He moved up into the top 70 of the FedEx Cup, obviously trying to, get into the playoffs alone and then keep working his way in. So I think he'll be in across the pond the next couple weeks, so chance to make some moves there. But yeah, Brian Campbell, solid week for him. 65, 66, 68, 67. Moves from 59th to 28th in the FedEx Cup. Pretty good. I seems like a nice guy. Not a very long hitter. Really solid accuracy, all the way around into the greens. Pretty good putter. So that shows that sometimes still can work, especially on a course like TPC Deer Run. It's a little tighter, thick rough, some trees, more of a parkland course for the most part. So nice week for him. You had picked Mr. Clinton. He actually missed the cut after a really nice performance there last year as an amateur. And I said McCarthy at 11th. And this week we move on to the Scottish Open at the Renaissance Club.
Kind of love that they put this in the
great
in the mix a couple of years ago when they rejiggered things. It's a lot of guys played in the DP World Tour the week before anyway to get the sense for links golf again and whatever. So why not make it a kind of a co-event between DP and PGA
Get the best
Tour?
in the world.
That's great. Yeah,
get the best in the world. And obviously Bob McIntyre won last year. Hit a phenomenal shot from the rough into a par 5. And then the year before he actually got second. Rory finished off really well and won that one. So it's been a good tournament. The few years that the PGA Tour players have been involved at a high level. But looking forward to watching this as I do every week, really. But especially this, I love the links golf. There's an aura to it it's different. Mm-hmm. The gray clouds, the wind, the long sleeves. When we're like here, why would you want to wear long sleeves? It's been 90 degrees, like 8 of the last 10 days. But I'm going repeat champ, baby. I'm going Bob. Dude's playing phenomenal golf. He played great in the U.S. Open. This is his National Open. He dominates in National Opens, and I hope that I get to pick him next week too for the Open because I think he's got a good shot at that. His ball flight's low. He's kind of got that a little bit of a pissed off Shane Lowry attitude to him a little bit.
Irish.
Yep, I love it.
If I have not taken him, I will take Mr. Fleetwood, who's been...
You actually, I think you've taken him in only majors so far.
I've taken him in majors. He's been close. He was close a few weeks ago.
He lost in a playoff in this, I think, a few years back.
Yeah, another guy a Brit who understands the conditions into play. He's been playing well. He's on the cusp. Love to see him get a win. So I'm going to go with Mr. Fleetwood.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that at all. And then next week we'll do our big picks for the Open with Mitch and Chris. And then we're going to do a Ryder Cup, something or other, eventually, as that's heating up. We're getting closer and closer to that. It's going to be exciting. When we go to Bethpage Black here in 2.5 months. I don't think I have anything else from the wide world of golf.
You don't either? No.
All right, let's move on to shot 2, and that's mailbag. Chris Palooza, I know we've got the back burner bracket.
We had his bracket from last week, which
created.
he only got one question in this week, so
right.
We will do that. We'll do that next. We'll go to his question first. So his question of the week is: should golf update the rules to lift, clean, and place always in the fairway? Think about it. We get to always lift, clean, and place on the green. Why is it only there? Is it because of golf history or what? What's the point?
That's a really good question, and I don't really know the answer to it.
Yes, my answer is yes. They should allow lift, clean, and place. The mud ball.
Yeah,
like if you
PGA.
I say this about divots too. If you hit the ball in the fairway,
you shouldn't be punished.
You should not be punished because of weather. Conditions of the course because of weather or because of somebody else's divot. That's ridiculous. If it's in the rough and you hit it into a spot where it's kind of tramped down and it's probably muddy because people were traipsing around, that's fine. I go back to the U.S. Open. What they did with Sam Burns, that was egregious. clearly there was water. It impacted the flight of the ball in the fairway. Again, if he's in the rough, whatever. All bets are off in the rough. Like divots, mud, snakes. Not that obviously, but things like that. All bets are off in the rough. But if you're in the fairway, you should never be penalized. I think that's asinine. I don't think that was ever really truly.
Rule.
I don't think it was ever truly like the spirit of the rule. And Chris, you're exactly right. It's like, imagine if you had to putt with a muddy ball. Imagine trying to figure out the break, the speed, all that kind of stuff. Like, you'd have to place your ball just so to get the mud out of it. You'd have to roll it perfectly. It would be a mess. So, like, why should you have to do that in the fairway? Anywhere else on the golf course, I've got zero problems with playing them down, playing them in the mud, playing them in a little bit of water or whatever. Like, that's just the rub of the green. I get it. But in the closely mown areas that are intended to be a reward because you hit the ball straight or accurately, there's no way that it should be a penalty.
Yeah.
And generally it is a penalty
rule.
because especially for us, okay, we do it anyway because we know that a mud ball is going to impact us. But, like, it's definitely going to impact the ball flight if somebody's trying to spin the ball a certain way, or they're trying to cut it, or they're trying to draw it, or whatever. It's stupid. It's a dumb rule.
It is.
And I don't know why they hang on to it. That's a good question, Chris. I don't know if you were asking because you're wondering or if that was anecdotal or but it's dumb. So change it.
It's a horrid
change
rule.
it.
Horrid rule.
Okay. That was Chris's question for the week. So his other was kind of along the lines of we did a Detroit Mount Rushmore. So Chris used Chat GPT, I believe, to come up with a bracket to determine the Mount Rushmore or Final Four professional Detroit athletes, and then pick the greatest all-time Detroit athlete. So kind of a spin on that we did 2 or 3 weeks ago. So this was not him. This is not me. This is not Ryan. This was derived from Chat GPT. Number 1 seed of all-time Detroit athlete, Gordie Howe, against number 16 seed Bill Laimbeer.
I'm going to go Gordie.
Yeah, you got to go Gordie. I was kind of surprised to see Laimbeer in there, but, kudos to Bill. So Gordie for sure, facing off, against the winner of number 8, Hank Greenberg, and number 9, Nicholas Lidstrom.
Ooh.
Greenberg is an all-time Tiger, amazing player, amazing hitter.
I'll go with Hank.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Lidstrom. I'm going to stick in hockey. I picked him, I think, as in my Mount Rushmore originally. Maybe recency bias, right? Like, I didn't see Hank Greenberg play. I just know about him.
I don't remember a music game.
So then we'll just stick with that bracket, that part of the bracket. You've got Gordie versus Hank. I got Gordie versus Nicholas.
I'm going to go Gordie.
Yeah, I'm going to go Gordie as well. Hung out with my nan in the summers up in Glen Lake. All right, so moving on to the next part, we both have Gordie there. This is a good one. Number 5, Stevie Y. Number 12, low-seeded Miguel Cabrera.
Oh, I'm going Cabrera.
Yeah, I'm going to go Miggy too. Iserman's special, obviously, but I'm going to go Miggy.
His GM skills of...
Yeah, jaded or tainted it. And then you got number 4, Isaiah, against 13, Ben Wallace.
Big Ben stud. I'm going to go with Zeke.
Yeah, you got to go Zeke. And then Zeke versus Cabrera.
I'm going to go Cabrera. I think he's one of the best.
I'm going to go Zeke because he led them to back-to-back world championships. Tough one, though, because Cabrera is one of the best ever play baseball. So we both have, or you've got Miggy against Gordie Howe, and I've got Gordie Howe against Zeke. So we'll hold on to that.
Okay.
In the bottom half, Al Kaline is the 6th seed against Calvin Johnson, the 11th seed.
Ooh, I'm going with Megatron.
Yeah, he's obviously a special player. He retired early though, and Kaline did it for a long time. So I'm gonna go with Kaline. Another intriguing matchup. Number 3, Ty Cobb against number 14, Sergey Fedorov.
I'll go Ty Cobb. He's my favorite player of all time.
Ty Cobb was, again, recency bias. I would say Sergey, but I'll go Ty Cobb as well. So you got 3 Cobb, 11 Calvin Johnson.
Cobb.
And I got 6 Kaline, 3 Cobb, and I'm going to go K-line. So far, we both have Gordie Howe. No, I have Gordie Howe. You have... Yeah, we both have Gordie Howe. Sorry, I'm trying to follow through here. You have Miggy. I have Zeke. And I have K-line, and you have Ty Cobb.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay. Number 7, Joe Lewis against number 10, Chauncey Billups.
Chauncey Billups.
I'm going to go Joe Lewis. I mean, I think that's a great pick. You forget about him. He was pound for pound one of the greatest fighters back in his era. Facing off against number 2, Barry Sanders, and 15, Alex Delvecchio.
Let me know who
A lot of
that
hockey
is.
players in there.
Barry, without a doubt.
Yeah, Barry and Chauncey for you.
Barry.
Barry and Joe Lewis for me. Barry. So I've got Barry and Al Kaline. I'm going Barry. You've got Barry and Ty Cobb.
Barry.
Okay. And then you have Gordie Howe and Miggy.
I'll go Gordie Howe.
And I've got Gordie Howe and Zeke. And I'm going to go Zeke. And you've got Gordie Howe and Barry.
Barry.
And I've got Zeke and Barry, and I'm going Barry as well. So there you go, Chris. That was a good one.
Very good.
A lot of good choices in there. Some kind of surprising that they would kick up. I could think of maybe some guys I would have put in there instead, but that's another story for another day. So good one, though. Appreciate the use of AI to provide us with a question. So that is shot 2.
All right. A word from our presenting sponsor, Team Andrews Realty, will help you find the home that fits your wants and needs, and they make the process simple and fun along the way. Andrews have served thousands of clients for 30-plus years in the West Michigan area and are here to serve you today. Learn more at teamandrews.com. We're back with the previews. Last week we did Illinois and Iowa. We're going in letter order except for Michigan State.
And first I got to give you, because I didn't have my records ready, I did this today. So last week, I think you picked Illinois at 9-3, right, Ryan?
Correct.
And 7-2, maybe.
I did.
Because you had them losing to
9-3
Duke.
and 7-2. I did. Yeah.
I have them going 9-3 and 6-3 in the Big Ten, and then I had Indiana at 7-5, which you're going to find is a theme for me as we get through these picks, and 4-5.
All right. Yeah. Fun. Yeah, a Big Ten's going to be a bundle of...
You're going to have your upper echelon, and then you're going to have a lot of
Bigs.
middle teams, and then you're going to have a handful of absolute stinkers.
Yeah. All right. Continuing letter order. Without further ado, the Iowa Hawkeyes, coached by Kirk Ferentz. 27th season upcoming for Kirk.
That's crazy.
204 and 124, so solid record last year. 8-5, 6-3 in the Big Ten. You know, decent season. Probably would have won in the West in the old Big Ten, but it's not the old Big Ten anymore. You have some pretty key losses. Caleb Johnson, we all know he was one of the best running backs in the country last year, got picked by the Steelers. He's gone. Luke Lachey, another in line of great Iowa tight ends. Jay Higgins and Nick Jackson, 2 of their leading tacklers. And Sebastian Castro, probably their best DB. All gone. Few key returnees. Kamari Moulton, solid running back. He was their kind of second guy last year. Jacob Gill. Receiver's not a huge position as of late for Iowa. They want to make it better with second-year offensive coordinator Tim Lester. Used to be Western's coach. Now he's at Iowa. Reese Vanderzee, he was a freshman last year, I believe. He's solid. Drew Stevens, good kicker. Then they always have solid guys on defense. Best one's coming back. Deshaun Lee's a DB. Xavier Nwangpa, he was a former 5-star recruit. He's at safety. Aaron Graves, defensive tackle. Maxwell on defensive line. He can kind of move all over the place. Recruiting-wise, 35th overall. They had the 60th best transfer class. Key high school guys, Burke Goucher, 4-star linebacker. He just looks like he'd play for Iowa.
They're going to need some help at linebacker because they have
big shoes to
very
fill.
little depth and very little experience at linebacker.
Yeah, their best recruits, Ayus Epineza. He's a 5-star recruit. His brother AJ played for Iowa and he plays on the Bills. So good bloodline there. He's 6'4", 270, big guy. They have a 4-star tight end in Thomas Meyer. Their headliner, that's not a recruit, a transfer, they think this guy can turn it around. Mark Gronowski, 4-star transfer quarterback from South Dakota State. He was really good there. He's a dual threat guy. Iowa has been trying to solve the quarterback conundrum for ever. You look back at a Jake Rudock mid. CJ Beathard, he was decent but not great. Nate Stanley, decent but not great. Then they've just had Petrus and Cade and just no one of use. And this guy, could he change it? Sure. They have a former Auburn player, Hank Brown. He I feel like he could be their backup. He also transferred in. Also a guy from Wake Forest, kind of providing some depth there. But they're trying to shore up that quarterback position. Other key transfers that they got: Bryce Hawthorne is another South Dakota State guy, big D tackle. But nothing else really to write home about when it comes to recruiting. Very, very Iowa-like. They're steady as they come. Kirk Ferentz is a program stabilizer. He has been for, basically his whole career at Iowa. Aside from some early trouble from, what they had before. Their schedule out of conference is too easy, and then their usual, the Cyhawk, for fighting Bill Norris.
I got them losing that game.
Yeah, let's go through their schedule here really quick, from top to bottom. So we've got Albany at home, got them getting a little dub there. That should be a nice
Let's
start.
just say the Big Ten, Ryan and I counted like 4 or 5 non-cupcakes. Otherwise, it's ridiculous. Like, Michigan State plays Boston College, Wisconsin goes to Alabama, Michigan goes to Oklahoma, Ohio State plays Texas, and there's a couple of other borderline decent games, but there are so many garbage games. This is why you need to dump these money bags for these, FCS schools basically, and start playing SEC schools.
Right. Stupid. But they won't, because they want to get in the playoff. Then they go to Iowa State. I have them losing that game. Iowa State they were almost in the playoff last year. They'd be a solid team again this year. Rocco Beck, quarterback. As long as they're not gambling on the game, should be okay. Then they play UMass, new member of the MAC. That's stupid. And that's not Mid-America. Just like the Big Ten's 18, but, Then they go to Rutgers, have them getting a little dub there. Home against Indiana. I actually have them winning this game.
I do too.
Tough place to play. Guessing that could be a night game. Then they go to Wisconsin, have them winning. I don't think too highly of Wisconsin. That's a sneak peek.
I've got them losing at Wisconsin.
Okay. I have them winning those 4 in a row, then losing to Penn State. So they're at 5-2 there. Then Minnesota at home, have them winning that one. Then kind of finishing the season in a rocky manner. Home against Oregon, losing that. Traveling to USC, losing that.
I've got them winning that.
Okay. I have them beating Michigan State. And then losing at Nebraska.
I do too.
For a 7-5 season. I think that'd be 5.
We agree. 5-4 in
5-4
conference. Just a few little differences there. Look, Iowa's going to be good at what Iowa is. They have a really good offensive line. They're going to have a very sound defense. They've got a good place kicker. They've got a good punter. They've got a good white returner.
Yep.
They are going to probably end up having a good ground game. Their passing attack, could it be better? We'll see, like Ryan said. I think Iowa's not going to go much worse than 7-5. Maybe I could see them 6-6, but they're arguably their tougher games. Indiana, if you want to put them in there, Penn State, Minnesota, Oregon, all at home. I mean, Nebraska, I think is going to be good, but they don't have a particularly difficult schedule. I don't think so. I think they could eke out 8 or 9 wins, but I think you're going to have your typical stall outs on offense for a while, at least.
Yeah, I mean, could they be better on offense? Sure, but I mean, it's not going to show until week 2 when they have a tough game.
Then you'll kind of know a little bit. I mean,
they'll figure out who they are.
Yeah.
Could be interesting, to say the least. But Iowa's Iowa. I mean, I think they'll make a bowl regardless. I don't think it's to be a team that goes 3-9 by any stretch of the imagination. But
until they can get better than ranking 17th in passing in the Big Ten, I'm convinced that they'll
that's
do better than average.
not going to happen. All right, those are your.
By the way, most analysts have Iowa around 7.5 wins.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I'd say I don't know what Vegas has their win total at, but I would say that's probably about where they're at. Just it's what Iowa is. All right, we move on from the I's to the M's. The Maryland Terrapins coming off of a dreadful 4-8 season, only won one Big Ten game. Mike Locksley's 7th season, 33-41. You know, they went to 3 bowl games in a row. Aside going into last year and just were pretty horrible. I think this is kind of a make or break year for him. I mean, Maryland's a really tough job. It's not historically a good football program. They haven't won a lot recently. Obviously, it's in a fertile grounds for athletes in the DMV. But Mike Locksley, I don't think is a great football coach. He's okay. I don't know if Maryland could really do any better, to be honest with you. But key losses, they lost their quarterback, Billy Edwards. He's actually transferring to Wisconsin. Go figure. Roman Hemby, we talked about him last week. He's going to Indiana. He's a stud when he's healthy. Ty Felton, Caden Prather, 2 really good receivers. They're gone. Then Ruben Hippolyte. I always thought that last name was cool. They're probably their best defensive player. Gone. Return a few decent guys, though. Octavian Smith, receiver. Daniel Wingate, linebacker. Levain Scruggs, cornerback. Their best player, I think, returning Jalen Husky. He was a transfer in last year, I think, from FIU. Really good corner. He could get drafted next year in the first few rounds. Maryland's kind of churned out good receivers.
Yeah,
and
a lot of good
corners for
individual
some reason.
players, yeah.
For some odd reason. Receivers and corners, you wouldn't think that. Not quarterbacks, not running backs, not offensive linemen, and some decent tight ends here and there. Some new faces coming into Maryland. Another interconference transfer. Justin Martin, who started a few games last year for UCLA. He comes over. Quarterback is kind of going to be their issue. They don't have one yet going into the season. It's going to be him or Malik Washington, who's a 4-star recruit from the DMV. He's 6'4", 215, pretty big guy. He was, top 55 player in his class. So decent player. We'll see who wins that. But Justin Martin, I think, is going to be that guy. I'm sure Washington will get some run. Rathrell Perry, pretty good transfer from Central Connecticut. He's an offensive tackle. Jamar Glasker, good cornerback from Wake. Cam Rice, solid D tackle from Ohio. And I already mentioned Malik Washington. Jalen Gilchrist, 4-star offensive lineman from Virginia Beach. 6'5", 295, big fella. Top 120 player. And then Zahir Mathis, 4-star edge in this class. 6'6", 225. That's a big fella. From Philly. So Maryland actually can recruit decently. I think Locksley
Got some good receivers too.
Yeah, I mean they do. They've done a nice job getting talent and developing individually, but just turning it out as a team. It's just it's not been their MO.
Struggle with the pass rush, struggle with consistency on the offensive line. So when they do get good play, they struggle. Like they've got some good receivers coming in. They've got a really good linebacker coming back. But those pieces and parts never add up to enough.
Right. Yeah. Schedule. Host the Florida Atlantic Owls to start the season. Have them getting the win there.
Yep.
Northern Illinois the next Friday. Have them winning that. Northern Illinois, sneaky good team though.
Yep.
Beat Notre Dame last year, obviously, who went to the national title. Towson. Should be an easy dub there, a little interstate rivalry. Go to Wisconsin. I have them losing that.
I do too.
Then Washington at home, I have them losing that one. I think Washington's going to be a pretty decent team. Home against Nebraska, have them losing that one.
Yep.
I've been they go all the way across country to play UCLA. Just for the travel alone, I think this is a pretty evenly matched game. I've been losing it.
Yeah, I have them losing that.
Home against Indiana, I have them losing that one.
Same.
Common theme here. Rutgers on the road, I have them losing that.
Yep.
At Illinois, loss.
Yep.
home against Michigan, loss.
Yep.
And Michigan State at Ford Field, I have them losing that for a lovely 3-9, 0-9 in the Big Ten. Mike, your ass is going to be pretty warm there, fella.
Yeah, and I'll give you a tip. There's only one other team that's going to match them for Big Ten futility. Then we'll get to them in a few weeks. But again, you talk floor ceiling. I think 3-9 is probably the floor for Maryland. It would not surprise me at all if they eke out a Big Ten win. I do think it's a pretty difficult schedule. I mean, traveling to Wisconsin, traveling to UCLA, those are the only two, longer road trips. They get Michigan at home. They got to go to Illinois. Rutgers is, maybe a toss-up. Indiana, we'll see what they are at that point in time. Nebraska at home. It's a tough game that they get at home, and Washington at home. But those are still not great games. I don't think their tune-up cupcake preseason schedules are going to do them any favors.
No.
Could I see them winning a couple of those games and getting to 5 wins? Yeah, I don't see them doing much worse than 3-9 because unless Northern Illinois bites them, I just don't see them losing any of those games. So 3-9 is probably their floor. 5 games, maybe 6 if they're sneaky good, could pull that out. It seems like the consensus is 5.5 is the over/under for wins. So you could say their ceiling is being seen at 5 or 6 games. I think 6 is a stretch. I could see 5 there if things kind of pan out. Again, they've got enough individual pieces, but they never seem to put that together in a team perspective. So Maryland, sorry, I think you're going to be looking for a new coach, and I think just kind of that futility continues.
Yeah, not too high on the Terps. We both aren't.
Are we going to hold? So next week we'll skip Michigan State and go to Minnesota. We'll hold
maybe,
Michigan State.
Maybe we'll do 3 now. Well,
no, because we got the
we'll do 2 next week, then 3 the next. So we got the AA, and then the Gophers.
We'll hold Michigan State till last.
And then after that we'll do Nebraska, Northwestern, TOSU. So, all right, that's this week's previews. Let us know if you have any insider information on any of those teams, or any Big Ten team that is, or your prediction in general. But yeah, let's finish this baby off like we do every single time with a little sprint home. This is a thing I saw on ESPN. There's a good article, or ranking thing. It said they're ranked the current best running back in the NFL. Who do you think is the current best running back?
Current best running back in the NFL. That's a good question. Oh boy, gotta put on my NFL hat. I think it's probably old boy from the Ravens, Derrick Henry. I still think it's probably him.
I'm gonna go Saquon.
Yeah, I could see Saquon. Yeah. I mean, the Lions duo is right up there too.
Gibbs, I think, is a top
in Montgomery,
3 or 4. Montgomery,
but I just think Derrick Henry is just. I mean, he's a beast.
Yeah, he's an animal.
He's unreal.
Current favorite Tigers player?
Oh, that's a good question. Current favorite, I have Skubal. I mean, he's just so dominant. He's going to get usually 8+ strikeouts every time. He works fast on the mound. His changeup is deadly. When he's coming at you with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and he can make his 86-mile-an-hour changeup look like that, I mean, he just makes people look foolish. I got to say it's him. Position player, probably Riley Green.
Yeah, I'm going to go Riley Green. Good initials. All right. What's one pet peeve that makes you mad about other golfers when you're on the course?
Oh, man.
Your biggest pet
one? Slow play.
Yeah, my favorite's the waiting for the green to clear and
yeah, just general slow play, thinking you can hit the ball further than you can. I always say, I say it to you, Ryan, I'm I'm going to go because the chances of me getting there, I'll apologize profusely. Chances of getting into a fight on the golf course are slim to none, and the chances of me, hitting a 260-yard 3-wood when I barely hit a drive 260 yards sometimes. The one, just because I hit it 270 the one time in Hilton Head, that's the problem that most people have is they like they say in all the golf stuff you read, when you look at your stats, which Ryan, you and I keep our stats through GIN, the majority of our misses on the green are what? Short.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, that bothers me when you're playing a 500 plus par. Like, let's be realistic. The other thing for me, I guess, if we're going to add to it, would be playing the wrong tees. I think too many people go to this macho thing and think they have to play the 6,500 yard tees. It's about the slope, not about the distance. And by the way, golf should be enjoyable for people like us. So what's the problem with playing the white tees or even the gold tees?
Yeah. Final question. Golfer that you thought would be good / solid, but has really disappointed you in the last few years?
I mean, I think Homa kind of comes to mind. He's definitely slumped out. I think to an extent since early in the season, it's just this year, but Oberg has been a little bit of a disappointment. I think maybe, and he doesn't play on the PGA Tour, so we don't ever see him except for in majors, but I think Koepka, because I think he was just so dominant there for a while in majors, and I just think he's so mid in everything else.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Thigala. He's
really
fallen off. He's been pretty.
I haven't even heard his name really this year. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought he was gonna be a guy that would be a mainstay in the top 20 in the world, and he's fallen off a cliff.
Hey, I'll tell you,
It's hard to do.
I'm not a pro, but I can attest because we talked about it last week on the pad. I all of a sudden lost my iron swing when we were on our golf weekend, and it is so hard to get it back because you start thinking through a million different things. I finally, this weekend, happy to report, did one little thing and stuck with my game plan for the most part of half shots, and it worked. And I've shot in the 80s again. It was probably one of the better rounds I've played this year, but it just goes to show you how, like, literally a week ago that Saturday, I shot a 106, and that was a quote 106. It was probably more like a 116. That was when you factor in your handicap maxes of triple bogeys. If I was really counting every stroke, I would have probably shot a 116, and I shot an 87. Just like, I mean, that's how fleeting golf can be. So you feel bad when this happens with these guys like Homa, just been fighting the swing, or Thigala or whatever. It's not an easy game.
No, it's not.
That's why we
love it, though.
Yep.
All right, that is this week's episode. We appreciate you guys listening. Let us know what questions you want us to answer. Next week we'll hit you with open preview and picks. I'm looking forward to doing that before Royal Portrush.
And our top 10 British.
Yep, top 10 British songs from British artists or bands. It'll be fun. But yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
Meantime, as John Winokur once said, it's the willingness to climb mountains that gives one the view.